Hello students, welcome to Notebook. What do you love doing? Is there something that you like doing so much that you can do it for the rest of your life without caring for rewards? It is usually difficult for us to find something that we really love doing that much. We even get bored of our favorite television show if we watch it and nothing else for 5 days in a row. We neither play the same games round the year because today we have many choices. A German shoemaker, Mr. Gessler, however, only made high-quality leather boots for men throughout his life. He made little money from his occupation. We would expect such a person to hate his occupation. We'll find out whether he loved or hated his work. But first, let us learn a little about the author of the story. The story we will discuss today was written by John Galsworthy. He was born in Surrey, England in 1867. He was an English novelist and playwright who wrote books like The Forsyte Saga, A Modern Comedy, and End of the Chapter. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1932. We'll now start with our story for today, which is named Quality. The narrator of the story introduces us to the shoemaker, Mr. Gessler. He greatly admires Mr. Gessler's skill of making high-quality boots, which fit his customers perfectly. Mr. Gessler calls the work of shoemaking an art. Mr. Gessler runs the shop called Gessler Brothers and lives there with his elder brother. The shop is situated in a small by-street in a fashionable part of London. The narrator does not have to visit Mr. Gessler's shop very often. This is because the boots he makes are strong and sturdy. They do not wear or tear easily and last very long. The narrator tells us how Mr. Gessler greets him every time he visits his shop. Mr. Gessler appears before the narrator wearing slippers, a leather apron, and a shirt with its sleeves rolled backwards. He is a little bent and he blinks as he stands before his customer, the narrator. He does not wear a coat and looks like he has just woken up from a dream of boots. From the narrator's description, it is clear that Mr. Gessler is a man who is very dedicated to his occupation. He can think of nothing but making the perfect boots. His back is bent because he has spent years bending over making boots. He has not profited much from his occupation. He probably does not have enough money to buy a coat. The narrator usually asks for a pair of Russian leather boots when he goes to Mr. Gessler's shop. Mr. Gessler proudly and affectionately shows him the beautiful gold-brown leather when he takes his order. Then they greet each other, "Good morning," and Mr. Gessler disappears inside his shop, still looking at the leather in his hand. It is clear that the shoemaker loves his art much more than his customers. He pleases his customers with his work and not with his courtesies. The narrator once tells Mr. Gessler that the boots he had bought from him had creaked. Mr. Gessler cannot believe him at first and thinks that the narrator must have got the boots wet, so they had creaked. When the narrator denies having wetted the boots, Mr. Gessler asks him to return the boots to him. He will try to fix them, and if they are beyond repair, he will return the money for the boots. Mr. Gessler's confidence in his craft and his work ethics are really commendable. We know that Mr. Gessler is a man of very few words. Only once he speaks for a long time with the narrator. The narrator forgetfully goes to Mr. Gessler's shop wearing shoes bought during an emergency from a large firm. Mr. Gessler immediately notices that they are not his boots. He is bitterly disappointed and tells the narrator of the difficulties and struggles of his life and his trade. The big firms make huge profits by selling low-quality boots. They are reducing the importance or demand of the old shoemakers. The firms earn all the money because of advertisements, whereas shoemakers like Mr. Gessler have to struggle all their lives, even though they are honest and dedicated to their work. The narrator feels so sorry for Mr. Gessler that he orders many pairs of boots that day. He wears those boots for almost 2 years. On his next visit to the shop, the narrator learns that Mr. Gessler's elder brother has passed away. He's shocked and sorry for the old and lonely shoemaker. He again orders many pairs of boots. The boots are of exceptional quality. The narrator wears them for a long time, for over a year. He goes to Mr. Gessler's shop again after returning from his foreign trip. He is shocked to see that Mr. Gessler now looks very old and tired. He has almost aged 15 years in the course of a year. This is probably because Mr. Gessler has to finish the orders himself. He is all alone now, without his brother to help him. His commitment to quality is also wearing him out. The narrator orders every kind of boot in his shop this time as well. Mr. Gessler delivers them late, but when the boots arrive, the narrator is charmed by them. In shape and fit, in finish and quality, the boots are the best of Mr. Gessler's creations. The narrator immediately writes a check for Mr. Gessler and posts it. A week later, the narrator visits Mr. Gessler's shop to praise his shoes. He is disturbed to see the nameplate saying Gessler Brothers outside the shop is gone. A young Englishman meets him inside the shop instead and tells him that Mr. Gessler is dead. He and his associates have taken over Mr. Gessler's shop now. The narrator is shocked because he has received the wonderful pairs of boots made by Mr. Gessler only a week ago. The young Englishman tells the narrator that it is a surprise that Mr. Gessler had lived so long. He almost starved himself because of his dedication to his art. He worked hard for long hours. He did not have any attendants or helpers because he was such a perfectionist. As a result, he took very long to complete his orders and kept losing his customers. Mr. Gessler was undoubtedly the best shoemaker in London, but he never advertised. People never got to know of him, and he lost out to the competitive market. He was stubborn about his art of shoemaking till his last breath. He never compromised with the quality of leather while making boots. He only worked with the finest leather. He bought leather and paid rent with the money he made from making shoes. He had very little money left for himself. Thus, we see that the young English trader who took over from Mr. Gessler's shop had observed him closely. He understood his worth and admired him for the quality of his work. The narrator had tried to help Mr. Gessler in his own way, but the English trader had just waited for him to die before he could take over his shop. He had not helped Mr. Gessler sell his boots and reach out to more customers. Or perhaps he had tried to help him, but Mr. Gessler had refused help because he had too much pride and he did not trust people like the new shoe traders. We never know. Try to find out about a few artists and scientists who were or are very dedicated to their art or their field of study. Note down your observations. See you in our other videos. Till then, happy learning.